This video was brought to you by the TLDR store, where you can find all of our countries with shoes pin badges, including one of my personal favourites, Estonia, and get 10% off by using the code TALLIN. Yesterday, Estonia's MP selected a new president for the country, Karis. But considering there was only one candidate, this process wasn't as easy as you might think. So let's unpack what happened right now. In Estonia, like many other countries around the world, there are two important figures at play: the president and the prime minister. Also, like many other countries, the presidential role is largely ceremonial. However, they do reserve some powers and still have influence over politics and broader public opinion. The Baltic state's current president, Kersti Kaljulaid, began her term about 5 years ago, which means that it's coming to an end, and the country's 101-seat parliament needs to select a new president. And the shortlist for this role was, well, short. Sunday was the deadline for applicants, and there was only one name on the list: independent Karis, the director of the Estonian National Museum and former state auditor. That's not to say that no one was interested in this influential post, just that Karis was the only one able to obtain the backing of 21 MPs, the minimum requirement to get you on the list. So come Monday, MPs in Parliament had to vote for a new president. And, well, it wasn't hard to choose, right? Well, even before votes were cast, many were taken back by this situation, because it's the first time in the country's 30-year history that this has happened, and several politicians have suggested that this is evidence the entire process needs to be overhauled, and the country's complex presidential selection process needs to be adapted. In fact, some have even suggested that as a fairly small nation, and one where the PM holds almost all the power anyway, the post should just be removed altogether, with the country's former defense minister comparing the process to Soviet-era politics and describing it as unethical. The country's current president could have sought re-election and gone up against Karis. In fact, the citizens might have even appreciated that, with her being very popular with the population. But she's not as popular with the politicians whose backing she needs to get back into her post, likely because she's been fairly outspoken about other politicians and the government's policies. So the field was whittled down to just Karis, who, to be fair, the Prime Minister and her coalition endorsed for his contribution to Estonian society and academia. However, not everyone supported him, with some commenting on his lack of political experience, especially when it comes to foreign policy. He didn't need to convince everyone though, with only 2/3 support required, or 68 votes in the secret ballot. He had around 59 votes locked down from the coalition parties, so it was the rest of Parliament that he needed to convince. In the first round of voting, he picked up only 63 votes, with 16 voters submitting blank ballots, therefore falling short of 68 by just 5 votes. As a winner wasn't selected, a second round of voting was held yesterday, and this time he did make it across the line, with 72 votes in favour this time, as well as 8 blank ballots. Enough to get him across the line and avoid the need for a third round, which would include 117 additional voters from across the country. In response, Karis remarked that I would like to thank everyone who voted for me, as well as those who did not. I promise to be a good partner with Parliament. Thank you very much. But what do you think? Do you support this new president as supported by the centre-right governing coalition? Or does this incident show us that the country's presidential system needs overhauling or removing entirely? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to support the channel, or, well, Estonia, then pick up one of our high-quality enamel pin badges. We have way more pins than just Estonia too, so check out the whole collection by clicking the link below. And if you do, you can get 10% off by using code TALLIN. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a new video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible. And if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then you too can back us on Patreon. The link to that is in the description.